Hey everyone, Alex here from Legion, and in this video we're going to talk about how we establish a strong master grip on the pistol. So first we're going to talk about our dominant hand, and what we want with that dominant hand is we want this web between our thumb and our index finger right here. We want to get the deepest part of that web up into the tang of this pistol. So the tang, again, that little extrusion on the back, I want to put it as high up, pressing as high up into that tang as I possibly can. And if I'm lucky, if my hand size and the pistol allow, I may get a little bit of skin that kind of rotates over the top of that tang. Again, all hand sizes may not be possible on all pistols, may not be possible due to just the size of the pistol, but that's the goal. I want to press up that V as high up into that tang as possible. Next, we're going to talk about here with what these 3 forefingers are doing. And essentially, they're applying a straight rearward pressure. So I'm not really trying to drive the tips of these fingers through the gun in a kind of clamping, gripping motion. Instead, what I want is just a straight forward and back pressure as much as possible. And where I'm really focused is this lowest finger, in the pinky in this case. I'm really engaging that guy as much as I possibly can. And the reason for that is every time this pistol fires, it's trying to rotate, and I have the most control over that rotation here in that pinky. So I got that pinky maximally engaged, and middle and ring finger are there pulling straight back to the rear. Third thing you notice is this thumb is flagged up and out of the way, and that's going to be important for now when we set our support hand. So what I want to do with my support hand is I want to rotate it, kind of cam it forward about 45 degrees. And what that's going to do is going to help me establish more friction on the side of the gun. Friction because I'm getting more hand contact on the side of this frame when I rotate that hand. So it just causes and allows my hand to take up more space and create more friction. And the second thing I'm going to notice here is my 2 palms, they're definitely touching each other, and that's absolutely critical. We want those 2 palms to be touching. And really, if we add in kind of another little sub piece here, I'm letting my thumb on this dominant hand kind of be flagged up and back far enough that that palm can get a good purchase on the rear part of this back strap. So that gives me an additional amount of control. And here, once I close my hands, I want these fingers on my support hand just to kind of bite into my dominant hand. I can check that that hand is cammed in the right position simply by opening these fingers and checking that, one, they're in a downwards position, kind of that 45-degree angle towards the ground, and then also the tip of this thumb is in a straight line to my elbow. So that tells me I've cammed that wrist in that correct position, and I'm in a good configuration with those 2 palms also touching each other. Next thing we're going to do as a result of having those palms touching is I'm going to press those 2 palms together kind of like we would with a nutcracker, right? Like I want to imagine that I have a small peanut right between those 2 palms, and I'm going to try to press those palms into each other. Now the important thing here is that I'm not pressing any harder than I can press with my palms. So I'm not crushing with my elbows, I'm not crushing with my shoulders. I definitely don't feel anything in my chest. It's just as much pressure as I can generate between my 2 palms. So let's kind of recap real quick where we are here. We're as high as we can on that beaver tail, right? Smashing the V of our hand as high up into that as we can. These 3 fingers are pulling straight back. I have that pinky turned on as much as it possibly can. Thumb is up and out of the way. I take my support hand, I rotate that wrist forward so I can get those fingers and that wrist in a straight position. How can I check myself? One, open this hand, and I say, yep, those fingers are pointing at a 45-degree angle down to the ground, and that thumb from the tip to the elbow is in a straight line. My 2 palms are touching. These fingers on my support hand are biting into my dominant hand, and then I press those 2 palms together. Now, one thing we want to add on here is, what are my thumbs doing? So, my dominant thumb, I simply like to rest it on top of my hand, and this support thumb also is just kind of resting along the side of the frame. I'm not pressing into the gun, and this thumb definitely isn't pressing down, because if I do that, what's going to happen is I'm going to press my own hand off the gun, especially after repeated shots. I'll feel my support hand slipping if this dominant thumb is pressing down. Now, with that said, guys, really the only other thing to add here is that we want to make sure that when we press out, that we set a good amount of tension in our wrist. And the easiest way to think about that is, imagine someone grab the nose of the gun and try to rotate your wrist, or try to rotate the gun in your hand. The way that we're going to counteract that, again, is by having that pinky on, having a constant tension set in our wrist. And that tension is going to be set always until we put the gun down or we reholster it, because that angle that we set here in this wrist also controls the relationship between the gun and our eyes. So that's the final piece of the puzzle, guys. If you have any questions about how we build a good master grip, definitely leave us a note in the comments and we'll be sure to follow up. Y'all take care.